So I'm first going to show you how to use the scheduler feature of BoardBooster. So these are all the boards that I already have set up in scheduler for myself, but I will show you how to set up a new one. So whenever you first start your BoardBooster account, you won't have any of these set up. So you'll have to go to Add Boards. And so what will happen is any of the boards that currently aren't, that you haven't already loaded to Pin Scheduler, this will pop up here. So we're gonna try and do this one, and we'll go to continue. And so essentially what this is asking is how many pins do you want to schedule to this board to go out each day. So you could do multiple pins per day, or you could do one or less pins per day. And as I mentioned in the blog post, if you read it at brittanyelwyn.com/blog, you pay per pin for BoardBooster. So you might want to do one or less pins per day, just depending on how many pins you have, or you may want to do more. And you can always go back and change and edit this. So you could start with one or less per day, or you could do multiple. So then you'll pick either basic or advanced for time settings. So this is where you can get really technical and set different time settings for weekdays versus Saturdays or Sundays. So I would suggest just starting with basic and see kind of what your timing is on when people are pinning, when people are repinning the most of your content, and then edit this after a few months after you've tried that. Unless if you already somehow know when your audience is pinning the most, because you would think that it would be the evenings and weekends where people pin the most, but it really could be different depending on your audience. So I would just do basic to start out. So we'll say we'll do 2 pins per day, and we'll say we'll do them between 8 a.m. and 10 you will pin to. So then it spreads out the pins throughout the day. So it's just kind of building the secret board and making sure everything's fine and all of that. So it usually does this pretty quickly. It's also making sure that this board doesn't already exist somehow, because you can't have 2 secret boards that are named the same thing. So if you have a board called social media, and then you have another board for like maybe a group board that's just called social media, and you try and create a secret board for those, it won't, you can only make one because it can't be named the same thing because it doesn't know which board to send it to. But this is the only board that's named that. So then this will pop up. This essentially just gives you the information of, you know, what you just did and what the boards mean and all that kind of stuff. And essentially telling you that you can go and edit the boards as well. So here's the board that I just made. So once you start pinning to this, this will start having pins that you have pinned to the board. This is where you can edit it, so it comes up with the same screen as before. You can only pin on the weekends. You can only pin on the weekday. You can pick whatever you want. I would just, starting out, I would do everything and do a wide time frame and then see where you're getting the most pins and then edit down your preferences. So that pretty much covers that. So then what you'll do is, say you want to pin pins to that secret board. And so that board is all about Pinterest. So I'd like to pin a Pinterest related topic. So let's try this one. So you would log into Pinterest, or if you're, reading an article and you want to pin a pin to this board, you can do that as well. So then all of your boards are coming up. So you see all of these ones with the dashes. Those are all boards that are associated with BoardBooster. So these, as you can see with the lock, it's a secret board. So nobody is seeing this board and what you have pinned to this board. So what I would do is, here's the Pinterest board that I just created scheduling for. So I would click that. It would save it to that board. It's done just like normal. So to look at that and kind of see what it looks like, you can go to your own account. So here are all my public boards, group boards, looking great, looking great. Okay, so these are all of my secret boards. So I have a lot of secret boards of like food, fitness, fashion, travel. None of these things are related to my audience, so I have all of those hidden. But down here are the secret boards, and they are, this is where it takes pins and then it'll re-pin them to the appropriate board. So this is the board that I just created. So what will happen is this pin will go out to the public board titled this, just without the dash. It will go out to the public board during the time that I set up that secret board to go out. So I put 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. So sometime today, it will send out this pin to this public board to that time. So what you do is you load up these secret boards with pins, and then it will strategically pin out all of those pins during the time frame and the days that you have selected. So you can pin all at once to the secret boards, and you don't have to worry about like what time they're going out. You don't have to worry about them going out all at the same time. It's going to spread them out and only pin the certain amount of pins that you said per day. So since I said multiple pins per day, this will pin out 2 to 3 pins on this board per day. Now if it runs out of pins, then it just won't pin anything. It's not going to do anything. It's not going to hurt your account or anything like that. So that's how you schedule pins. I hope this was helpful, and I'll be going over more of the features of BoardBooster in the next video. Okay, now we're going to talk about looping pins, which is absolutely one of my favorite features of BoardBooster and why I use it. So you log into your account, you would go to looping. So currently I have just 2 boards looping right now, and you can certainly set up more, but I had just tried out looping in the past few months just to kind of get a feel for what it was and how it worked and all that kind of stuff. So I'll show you how to set up a brand new looping board. So this kind of gives a description of what looping entails and what it means and all of that. So all of these boards are all of my own boards. So they don't include any group boards because I am not a manager of any group boards that I am currently on. So this will only include your profile's boards that you can loop to, because you can't through looping, you can't loop to group boards. So say we want to do this one. So what this does, so this kind of looks similar to the scheduler. You can have it working or paused, and you can always change any of these settings later once you set it up. 1 or less pins per day, multiple pins per day. I try and stick to 1 to maybe 2 to 3 pins per day for looping. It depends how big your board is. So if one of your boards that you want to loop, if it only has, 15 pins, I would not suggest looping from that, because only, in a short amount of time, it's going to loop those 15 pins and then it's going to start over again. And that can get a little overwhelming to your followers because they're seeing the same pin over and over and over again. So I'd really suggest to try and get at least 100 pins on the board before you start looping it. And so then you can select, so if you choose one pin, it's only going to give you one time. I always do chronological oldest to newest because it's showing a pin that you've already pinned, so you should try and show the oldest first because it's furthest out of people's minds, and the longest time period that they've seen it from. So you can include different size pins. I include all. The deduplication, I always enable this because I prefer to not have duplicate pins. Some people are of a different mindset of that it's okay. And in some cases, I think it's fine to have multiple pins, especially if you have a viral pin. So say you had a pin that went viral and it got thousands and thousands of repins. If you had this disabled, then whenever you repinned that old pin, it was going to delete the viral pin because that pin is now the oldest. So I would enable that, and then you can put the amount of however many repins you want to keep for. So that's pretty much it. So once you set this up, so we'll just say submit. And again, you can always go in and edit this. So if you want to edit it, here it is, the one that I just set up. You can edit all this stuff, change it up, and you can delete it if you don't want to loop from that board anymore. So then when you go to your boards again, so as you can see, there is not a board that is made for this, and that's what's supposed to happen. So what's going to happen is it's going to take from this Pinterest board, because this is the one that I set it up on, it's going to take the oldest pin that I have pinned on this board, and it's going to, at the time that I selected, which I think it was 8 a.m., so it's probably going to wait until tomorrow, it is going to repin this pin to this same board. Then after 5 days, it's going to run a deduplication, and it's going to delete the old pin. So the reason why this is important and why people love this feature is when you first pinned this pin, so apparently this was my first one, when you first pinned this, not all of your followers saw it. And because you have, in the time that you first pinned it, I'm sure that your Pinterest account has grown. Maybe they just didn't see it. When they logged in, it just wasn't making their feed. For whatever reasons, they maybe didn't see it. So this is a way to get the content that you have already pinned, older pins that are still relevant to your audience. This is a great way to get this information back out in front of them. So a lot of these pins that are pinned, they are other people's pins, which is great. But I have one of my looping boards of my website. So anytime that I publish a blog post, I pin it to this Pinterest board. And I set up the looping feature to repin one of these pins per day. I should enable this. There we go. So people that follow me maybe didn't see the first time that I pinned one of my blog posts. So I want to repin it, to loop it back into the newsfeed so my newer audience members on Pinterest can see it again and hopefully repin it and click on it and go comment on my blog post or share it with their friends, whatever. But this is why this is really great for people with evergreen content that is useful. It doesn't matter, if it's now or, 6 months from now, it's still useful. This is why those posts end up doing great on Pinterest if you're using the looping feature, because you're repinning it, you're getting new people to see the content that may have missed it before. All right, so that is looping. So now we're going to start talking about campaigns. So this is another feature that I really love. To be honest, I just love all the features of BoardBooster. Otherwise, I wouldn't be writing this post, would I? So if you found me through YouTube, I wrote a blog post all about BoardBooster. You can check it out at brittanyllyn.com/blog, and you can find BoardBooster. So what I did was I went to pinning tools, and then you go to campaigns. This is already open, so it's not going to let me refresh it. So this is what it'll look like. And so if you don't have any campaigns set up, obviously this information won't be here. So campaigns is the way that I quickly share my blog posts to the group boards that I'm on. So what would be most useful is to look at this one. So we'll look at this one first, and then I'll walk you through creating a new campaign. So this campaign is called Brittany L. Lynn Blog, so it's all my blog posts. And so what happens is anytime I pin a pin to that board, on the first day that I pin it, at this time, it will also send out that pin to this group board. So basically, I'm automating when my blog posts go to group boards. So I don't have to click through and add my blog posts to all of those group boards for scheduling. I can just know that I'm sending it to this one campaign, this one hidden pin board, and it will automatically send it out to all of the group boards. So if say I'm on a new group board, I would just go add repin, and you can pick your other boards as well. I just set it up for group boards because that was kind of just how I wanted to use it, but you can certainly set it up to go out to other boards. This is the day number, so day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. So I would spread them out so they're not all going out at the same day and the same time. And then you click add. So let's cancel this. If I was creating a new one, so I have always picked scheduled campaigns. So that's what the Brittany L. Lynn blog board is. So I mean, it comes up pretty much exactly what you just saw. So this is a test campaign. We'll do one pin. And then you pick the board, you pick the campaign day number, just like I showed you before. and then the repin time, and then you add it. So let's say blogging tips. So you could just do one, and it will do all of its voodoo stuff in the background, and I'm gonna delete this because this isn't actually a real campaign that I want to set up. But I just wanted to show how to make a new campaign. It's pretty easy. So what this is doing right now is this is also creating the secret board, because the campaign feature also creates a secret board just like Scheduler did, which I just showed earlier in this video. Okay, so say you want to see that board. So you would go to your Pinterest profile. This is the secret board. So at the Brittany L blog, just how we talked about earlier, this is my secret board for that campaign. So for a campaign, it's going to make a secret board just like it did for Scheduler. Then once I pin pins to this, it will automatically, whichever day I set up to schedule out pins to that board, it will go to the secret board, and then whatever day I assign that pin to go out, it will go to the blogging Pinterest board that I set it up for. So I hope that this was a helpful training for you. It took me a little bit to understand BoardBooster, but now that I have, it's exploding my Pinterest growth, which means it's exploding growth and website traffic, which results in more people seeing the services and products that I offer, which is what we all want. So I hope you found this useful, and please leave me a comment.